Errol Joseph had lived his entire life in the lower Ninth Ward of New Orleans. He was raising his own family in the same house he grew up in. In August 2005, Hurricane Katrina changed all that.
Okay, this was our master bedroom, and we had a utility room over here, and over here was like a storage and a pantry.
Like all residents of the lower Ninth Ward, he and his wife and 2 kids were forced to evacuate.
We couldn't get back into this area, and you had the military police with the assault rifles telling you that's as far as you can go. You couldn't go in your house.
So he moved with his family to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, before returning to a different New Orleans neighborhood where he now rents. Still, the 63-year-old contractor longs to return to the house he grew up in. But 8.5 years after the storm, his house is still a shell of what it was.
Sometimes I want to cry, but I'm all cried out.
Joseph's story is hardly atypical. The lower Ninth Ward had a population of 14,000 before the storm struck, but now it's only 3,000 according to the latest census. And though construction is underway on a new school, a fire station, and a community center, most of the neighborhood looks much the way it did immediately after a storm surge sent a 20-foot wall of water into this community. Today, the community is still littered with destroyed homes, vacant lots, and there are practically no grocery stores or other businesses here.
We, as kids, we were here. And now, there's nobody down here, but I want to be here. I love this land.
Though city officials declined our repeated request to talk about the rebuilding of the lower Ninth Ward, they sent us a document detailing how the city directed federal funds between 2010 and 2013. More than $900 million was allocated for the lower Ninth Ward for infrastructure projects like road reconstruction, parks and recreational facilities, and the building of that community center and firehouse. It's an amount similar to, and sometimes greater than investments made in other neighborhoods, where many more residents have returned. Now some question whether that money was worth it, and if the lower Ninth Ward should be rebuilt at all.
So I don't think there's any prospect of it becoming what it was. The conditions just aren't there.
Mark Davis is the director of Tulane Law School's Institute on Water Resources Law and Policy. He's helped shape policy that affects neighborhoods like the lower Ninth Ward.
It's not just a matter of moving back. You have to actually reestablish the entire framework upon which the community was built. And if you have no place to shop, how do you move there? You don't have a hospital. You have really one school. The things that actually become necessary to develop a neighborhood and attract people back aren't currently present.
If the lower Ninth Ward was built basically and solely on emotion and passion for restoring what was there, you're saying that that's not sustainable?
No, it's not sustainable any more than my desire to be 25 again.
Controversy over which New Orleans neighborhoods should and shouldn't be rebuilt started just months after the storm, when in early 2006, what is known as the Green Dot Map was unveiled by City Hall. The map had green dots on neighborhoods in low-lying areas that urban planners thought should be considered for future parks instead of full-scale redevelopment, infuriating residents of those areas. The lower Ninth Ward was one of those neighborhoods. While the map was scrapped amid the uproar, the message was clear. Redevelopment should focus on areas with the best chance for recovery, not neighborhoods like the lower Ninth, which once had the highest percentage of black home ownership in the nation. But there are those who are committed to rebuilding the lower Ninth Ward as it once was. Laura Paul runs lower9.org, a nonprofit committed to rebuilding the homes of as many former residents as possible. What's this place gonna look like that would satisfy you? I mean, what would be here where you finally say, okay, my work is done?
Our work will be done when we stop getting calls from people saying, I want to get back in my house. And that's not happening yet. We have a lot of people who would love to get home and have no resources.
With private donations and volunteer labor, Paul has restored over 60 homes, including 54-year-old Eula White's, who moved back 6 years ago. Like many lower Ninth residents we talked to, White says she always knew she would come back.
I had an attitude about coming back. I had an attitude. And I think I really did. I was like, this is where I grew up at, this is where I want to be, and I'm determined I'm going to get there.
What I see when I come here are all of the empty lots. I still see some houses that need repair. I see abandoned buildings. I see churches that are boarded up.
All of those things that you see are real. But I see hope.
Where?
Where? Whenever I see a lot that's scraped down and getting ready to build a home, I see hope.
White says that her grown children, who settled elsewhere in New Orleans, don't understand why she'd returned to a neighborhood that's still in such bad shape.
They don't understand. It was like, there's more to life than just the lower ninth ward. I say, maybe for you, but not for me. And that's just how it is.
But Professor Mark Davis says that Eula White's children are emblematic of why so few residents have actually returned.
It is too long for many people. I think when you're settled somewhere, your kids are in school, you found a new doctor, you're 8 years older. It makes it that much harder to pick up and come back.
The neighborhood continues to have a high crime rate, and some worry it might not be safe from another big storm either.
But would you say that the lower ninth ward is now safe?
I think it's safer, and I think that's the most you can say from nearly any place that I can imagine, here or elsewhere. There's not a community where you don't live at risk.
But other neighborhoods in New Orleans are thriving in a way the lower ninth ward hasn't. Terry North is CEO of Providence Community Housing, a nonprofit associated with the Catholic Church that is helping to rebuild homes in Treme.
We get a lot of positive feedback from the residents.
Providence Community Housing has built 517 new homes there, and Treme now has an occupancy rate of more than 60% compared to 30% in the lower ninth ward.
It is a fully populated neighborhood. It is not like what you saw in the ninth ward where, small percentages of people were able to return and rebuild.
While Treme and the lower ninth ward have received similar amounts of money from the government during the past 4 years, Treme, which borders the city's famed tourist destinations like the French Quarter, has benefited from private investment. The lower ninth ward, on the edge of the city, hasn't.
Is it worth finding resources to reinvest in the lower ninth ward? Is it worth bringing that kind of a community back like it used to be?
No. I mean, just being honest with you, when it comes down to it, when you're trying to attract business and private investment, it's dollars and cents.
Do you think that the lower ninth ward will ever look like Treme?
I'm afraid not. I'm afraid not. I wish it would. I wish it would, but I'm afraid not.
But for those who want to return to the lower ninth ward despite all its problems, Errol Joseph says his story is a cautionary tale.
I get mad, I wake up in the middle of the night just mad. I don't have no recourse that I can go to complain or appeal this thing to.
Joseph, a contractor by trade, says he couldn't get a permit to rebuild until 2009, only to be told then by state inspectors that he didn't have the right paperwork. He insists he did. Now he says he's waiting for yet another inspection on his home while the newly constructed frame of the house he built is starting to rot away.
The wood is just cracking up. It's just gone away.
And supplies sit in storage.
I've got windows, vinyl windows. I don't know if they're going to be warped. I've got paint. I've got insulation.
You're ready to go.
I've been ready to go. I've got all kind of plumbing fixtures, cabinets, and my frame rotted out.
Joseph and many other residents here feel that the lower ninth ward was left out of the massive efforts underway to rebuild New Orleans, and they were even discriminated against, while white communities and neighborhoods around the historic French Quarter were rebuilt.
Is that a part of it?
Well, I think Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder could see that, and both of those people are blind. They can see what's going on if it's all black.
In October 2010, a judge did rule that a federally funded housing program designed to assist homeowners affected by Katrina discriminated against black homeowners in low-income neighborhoods, like the lower ninth ward. That's because the payouts were based on home values. Errol Joseph says that meant many people like him didn't get nearly enough to cover the cost of rebuilding.
I got to ask you, why you even keep doing it? I mean, are you going to finish this house?
I don't even know. It's better things to die for than nothing. I don't have my neighbors whereby I can holler at this one, holler at that one. Here, the girl on the corner, her mother died. 6 months later, her dad died.
You're pointing to a bunch of empty lots. You realize
That's
that?
right. That's right. You don't know where all of these people are. This was a thriving community.
But you say you've done all of this work and gone through all this pain and suffering because this is your home.
This is my home. There's a difference between house and home. I hear people all the time say, I built a home. You can't build a home. This home has to grow with love, heart, feelings.